Okay, so I've been approached through email and direct messages and all of this on actual comments too, and other videos on how and would I actually be doing commentary about the homegoing celebration of Aretha Franklin. And I didn't know exactly how to approach it. Me personally, I am a person who cannot stand funerals. I don't like funerals. I generally don't show up for them. Anybody who who passes away, I don't do the wakes, the repasses. I just don't. It's just not my thing. And even whenever my time comes to transition, I've already let my mother know I don't want any of that. I don't want people standing over me, staring down at me, telling all those lies and carrying on and doing the things that people do at funerals. That's just not something that I want to indulge in. Um, I just don't. So of course, I did watch. I had to watch because I knew I was going to be questioned. And this is actually a part of history. It's more than a funeral. So, after I thought about it, I said, okay, the only way to actually do this is to do it the James Colwell way. You do it the way you do everything else. You approach it the way that you approach everything else. Honest and straightforward. So let's get started. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to pull my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? All right. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. And like I said, honest and straightforward is how I'm going to actually approach this thing. Again, it was much more than a funeral. Same thing when Whitney Houston passed away. Same thing when Michael Jackson passed away. It's more than a funeral. But with Aretha was more than a living legend. She was a legend, but she was a United States treasure is what she was. You say what you want, you can call it what you like. She was the queen of soul, and that's who she was. It's not just about black music, it's not just about Detroit. She was literally a national treasure. She was so involved and such a part of so many things. You know what I mean? So along with that, she was so much a part of all of our lives. She's somebody, everybody knows who she is. You don't just say Aretha Franklin, somebody don't know who you're talking about. Somebody knows what you're talking about. In the country, out of the country, people on the moon. If they're there, they know Aretha Franklin. So it's more than a funeral. So definitely with me doing this thing, this whole YouTube thing, and doing commentary and talking about the things that matter, it matters. She matters. Um, she sang a lot of the soundtrack to my life as well as a lot of other people's life as well. She played a large part in civil rights and all. It's deeper than a funeral. It's deeper than just a recording artist. She was a national treasure. So now let's get to this. I'm not going to sit here and cut because it was 8 hours. The funeral was 8+ hours, and I watched every bit of it. Every bit of it. And I went through the range of emotions through every bit of it. I laughed, I cried, I worshiped, um, all those things that you do. Um, of course, you go through that period where, you do realize that it's a funeral because they flash the casket, so you do realize why you're there and all that. So you get all the creepy, all the things that I don't like about funerals. But all in all, it was more of a good experience. It was an experience where this was one of those times where I sat in front of my television, and I was proud to be. Um, Proud to be not just black, but proud to be part of the human race. Because again, like I said, she was more than just that. She was more than just a black woman. Glad she was a black woman because it just it goes to show you how powerful the black woman is. The black woman is literally, see, we can go on to something else, but the black woman is actually the nucleus of our community, of our existence. Without a black woman, none of this shit don't work. It does not work. A black man cannot. You need a black woman to get it rolling and to keep it rolling and to make it roll smooth. That's just the way it is. It's just those are hashtag facts. Okay, so that's what it is. Aretha was somebody's grandma. She was somebody's aunt. She was somebody's mentor. She was somebody's, you know, she was all different things to different people. You know what I mean? She was an icon to people, to most people. She was all these things. So it was what it was. There was a whole lot of respect due to her. There was a whole lot of respect given to her. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole, I'm not going to sit here, because I've seen some people that have done some videos where they want to tell you how it happened, like they were reviewing a reality show. I ain't going to do that. It was an 8-hour funeral. I'm not getting ready to do that. What I'm getting ready to do, I'm going to do this the James Colwell way. I'm going to tell you the things that stuck out for me, good, the bad, and the otherwise. And I ain't going to leave nothing out. If I felt like it was worth talking about, I'm going to talk about it. And I probably will step on a couple toes. And I'll probably get a little out of order and out of line. But that is the James Colwell way. Spill it, boy. That's what we do. That's how I do it. Spill it, boy TV. That's what I do. So let's get with it. First things first. Ariana Grande. Girl, really? Really? First of all, I don't even know why you were even on the booking. I have no idea why Ariana Grande, of all people, was thrown on a booking. Um, I don't know. I have no idea. But I'll say this. I felt bad for what happened to you. I felt bad for what happened to you. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But we're just going to go over what your presentation was. You are a phenomenal singer. She's a very good singer, but you didn't sing phenomenally that day. You just sang. You just sang. Natural Woman. Mm-mm. If we just had to have someone to sing Natural Woman that we know have sang it before and did a really good job on it, we could have gotten Kelly Clarkson. And it ain't just because of her skin and her being Caucasian. Kelly Clarkson, when I think Natural Woman, is one of the people who I would have stuck on a tribute to do it because she sang it. And for me personally, her singing Natural Woman was the very first time that I ever tuned into American Idol. And I've been a fan of Kelly Clarkson's since that day. Her singing Natural Woman was the very first time I actually saw Kelly sing anything. It's the first time I ever seen American Idol. It was a moment in time. So I would have definitely went straight to Kelly Clarkson. Then when I see what Ariana did to it, it was just a travesty. There was no point. It was just one of those, so what? That's what I got. Those feeling I had was, so what? And then, when the pastor, and I might as well just go on into him right now. I'm going to eat his ass on that. Aretha's pastor, I don't even know the little child's name, but the pastor, the bishop, whatever his name was, from Detroit that was actually running everything, inappropriate ass. Inappropriate. You are not Martin Lawrence. You're not Eddie Murphy. We don't need you busting jokes. If we really wanted jokes, we'd have went and got Steve Harvey. And going back and looking at it, I would enjoy Steve Harvey better because Steve do got some common sense and you don't. You don't. You, sir, were so out of order in so many spaces that it's one of them situations where people, when they think about church, they always got their nose turned up and they always question y'all, and y'all come across so shady because you got so much bullshit with you. He done ran up there and he didn't know who Ariana Grande was. She's a huge pop star. He didn't know who she was. And then made the comment, oh, when I saw your name on there, he said, "Oh, you're a legend yourself, little young lady." I thought that when I seen your name on the program, I thought it was a new item on the Taco Bell menu, Ariana Grande. Well, baby, that was just as rude and racist as you could possibly get. As you could possibly get. That sounds like something that would have came directly out of the mouth of number 45. If you don't sit your ass down somewhere. That was a mess. He made a strange remark about Smokey Robinson and how he's not aging. Ain't nobody asked you to be no fashion critic. Ain't nobody asked you nothing. Then when he made the comment, oh, and before I even go there, Ariana Grande, all that, the way you were touching her, totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate the way that you were embracing her because you don't know her. You don't know her, and you were your fingers was all over that young lady, all over her. Did you enjoy yourself? Because we didn't. And Ariana, now what I'm going to do next, it doesn't have anything to do with what you had on as to why you got groped a little bit. It has nothing to do with that. So I don't want you all to think that I'm victim blaming because I'm not. But baby, you were totally out of order with what you had on. Ariana Grande, no, you are not black. You're not. You're not black. And we're not holding you to an account where you should know everything that goes on in the black church and all of that. But Ariana, my darling, you've had enough black in you to know that what you had on wasn't right for church or a funeral, not no black funeral. Now, I don't know what your nationality, I'm not really sure. I don't know what the protocol is for a funeral. But I can't imagine that in any nationality, that dress would have been appropriate for church, period. Period. Passover. How you going to pass over when you can't bend over? I said, girl, please. That dress was so short. Her ponytail was literally longer than her dress. Mess. Whole mess. That was a mess. That was out of order. Out of order. Now, but the pastor was out of order. Now, let me tell you the other thing the little pastor did. Whenever he brought up the woman who was Aretha's assistant and started talking about her checks. Oh, I love when she come on down. She bring the checks. You know, we knew that she bringing a check for Aretha. I tell him, sit on up. Sit on up. I said, you don't even realize how you making yourself look right now, right? Because we've told you before, church ain't nothing but business. It ain't nothing but business. It ain't nothing but business. And you just, all this happiness about her tithes and all of that. Let me tell you something about tithing. When I actually joined my church, I had a long, in-depth conversation with my pastor at the time. My pastor, I actually had two. I had a male and a female. They were a couple, a married couple. They have both gone on to glory at this point. But I had many sessions when I first joined my church with Bishop Green and his wife. And tithing was one of the ones that we actually talked about. And she explained it to me, and she explained the importance of tithing, where it came from, and she was, we called her Pastor Gwen. Pastor Gwen was what I would consider a Bible scholar. Anything that you bring up, she could tell you what it was and show you 7, 8 places in the Bible where it shows up and explain it to you backwards and forwards. She knew that Bible backwards and forwards. So I would always say she was like a Bible scholar. So we did this with tithing, okay? Now, my thing for tithing, and I would always do this with her and then her husband, Bishop Green, I always would tell him, I don't I have my own thing. When I tithe, I don't feel the need for anyone to know what I tithed, how much I tithed. Um, and I don't feel the need to have that. Every year at the end of the year, they give you a slip where they've kept track of all of your tithes. And you can actually write it off of your taxes. I have never done that. I have never done it. I don't even look at the slip. I always tear the slip up and throw it in the garbage. Whatever I've actually given to the church, I know what I'm supposed to tithe. I do what I'm going to do. And it's between me and God. It's not about Uncle Sam, the IRS, a tax break, none of that. I've never written against that with my taxes. But that's my personal thing. That's my personal thing. So I just cringed, and it might just be a James Colwell-ism, but I cringed at that whole conversation that he was having about, yeah, $5,000 check, $10,000 check. It just went through me like a hot knife through butter. I was not here for it. I was not here for it at all. I thought it was very tacky. And as a matter of fact, him as a whole, I thought he was pretty tacky. I just thought he was pretty tacky. I don't know this man. I've not ever visited his church, but I could pretty much tell you after spending 8+ hours with him, I wouldn't attend his church. I don't want to hear nothing he got to say. He's a clown. He's a clown. It is what it is. Now let's move on. Because I know I didn't trampled on a couple people's toes. I don't really care. I really don't. The man's a clown. Moving on. Okay, so uh performance. There was a lot of performance. A lot of performance. There were speeches that were actually given, and there were some times in there where there was just some things that were really said that were uh really deep. I particularly loved when Pastor Shirley Caesar came out and she looked gorgeous too. Because everybody was mostly in black. Everybody had their Sunday best on, baby. Everybody was dressed. Everybody was dressed. And I'll tell you about my favorite thing that I saw in a little bit. But Pastor Shirley Caesar, she actually had this white completely beaded gown, and y'all know I went all the way up. As soon as I seen her, I said, "Ooh, yes, Shirley, yes!" But Pastor Shirley Caesar always be clean. Her hair she was done. She had her Sunday best on. She came out and she did perform, and she sang with Tasha Cobbs. Now I care nothing about what they were singing. It just whatever. But when they came out, Shirley took the podium and she started speaking. What she spoke, for me, was more powerful than her performance piece. What she spoke was very moving. Shirley tried to take me out, but I wasn't going. I'm like, what happened? I said, no, Shirley, we're not going to do this today. The cast of the Have and the Have Nots were all right down there in like the first 4 or 5 rows. They were down there, right down front. And we found out that was actually her favorite show on television, was the Haves and the Have-Nots. And who would have ever thought it? And I just laughed. I said, okay. And Tyler was there, and the whole cast was there. And Tyler did an excellent job because he actually got up and he spoke. That was really, really good. There was a speech from a neighbor, a male neighbor, who talked about how he would come over and secure the house and stuff for Aretha because her house was huge, and sometimes she didn't feel confident about the house being security would come over, and he talked about how his wife, she was the only woman that could call 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. He was allowed to go over her house and get it. He said he would go over there and they'd be over there for hours because she, once she got comfortable, she would just start, playing the piano or and singing, and they might eat or whatever. So his wife was fine with sharing her husband with Aretha. And then we found out, they had actually rode the tour bus with her on several occasions and all of that. He talked about a lot of the nuances that was Aretha Franklin. That was really, really moving. I enjoyed that. Of the males who performed, Ron Isley had a hard time. And I've never seen that happen to him before. I think it was there's a lot of grief going on there. And he had a hard time. He had a hard time, but he got through the performance. I think Ron Isley had a harder time performing his piece than Aretha's son with doing his piece. Aretha's son actually sang Mercy, Mercy Me. And he got through it easier than Ron Isley got through it. I said, wow, he's missing his friend, honey. I said, wow, I felt so bad for him. But he got through it. Mr. Biggs, he got through it. That was really, really interesting. Stevie Wonder did a good job getting through. You could tell it was heavy. This was heavy for Stevie, but Stevie was Stevie, and he got through it. Um, and it was beautiful, but always with Stevie Wonder because he again another legend. He's another living legend, honey, and he got through it, and it was excellent. It was excellent. Um, of the males, Marvin Sapp took me out, took me right, but he always does. Marvin Sapp, if you don't know his background story, see, I know his background story, and that's probably why when Marvin Sapp goes to a certain place, it'll take me out. It'll just take me out because Marvin Sapp went through a lot of bad times when it pertains to like losing his wife, and they were a young couple and that kind of thing. So just him being at a funeral and having to perform, I was like, oh gosh, already as soon as he took the stage. And when I tell you, Marvin got to singing and wailing and yelling, and I said, okay, Marvin. Next thing I know, I was leaning on the side of the chair. He just took me right on out. I was like, oh my gosh, phenomenal. I'm usually the one that does it to me is Yolanda, and she didn't. She was excellent as usual, but it was, our normal Yolanda. Fantasia, she took herself out. She took herself out. Fanny came out her shoes right away and said, I believe Miss Franklin would be okay with this, and I'm sure she would have. And I knew it was going to be a moment with Fanny because the best tribute and Fantasia, everybody knows Fantasia is the tribute girl. You want a tribute done, you call Fantasia. The best tribute I've ever seen her do to date has been Aretha Franklin. When she did Rocksteady, and she came back and did If You Want My Love, and oh, what is the song? Baby, I Love You. She did them two songs for Aretha at that Night of 1,000 Stars or whatever it was. Best tribute I've ever seen her do. Second run was when she did Patty and when she did Stevie Wonder. She is the tribute girl, but I know Fantasia loves Aretha Franklin. She has an actual huge picture of Aretha in her dining room. I knew it was going to be an issue for Fantasia. She kept it together really, really good till she got to the end of the song, and she excused herself from the stage. She didn't stay for any accolades or any clapping. She had to go. She excused herself because she knew it would have been over. It would have been done. We'd have been past the time. It wouldn't have been good. She excused herself. Um, that was something else. Jennifer Holliday. Jennifer Holliday came out there and did what only Jennifer could do. Because Jennifer Holliday, Jennifer Holliday has a golden egg in her throat. And she came out there and moved things. It was very, because there's times when Jennifer Holliday, I believe, is not genuine, where she goes and she does her show thing. She went out and she was genuine. It was the genuine Jennifer Holliday. And she moved that church in the way only Jennifer Holliday could do it. Jennifer Hudson, quit your playing. Quit your playing. Quit your playing. This goes up for me with Jennifer Hudson as one of the top 3 performances I've seen her, when she tributed Whitney in front of Whitney, when she sang And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going Live for the First Time, and this. Best 3 times I've ever seen Jennifer Hudson, and I've been watching Jennifer Hudson since American Idol. Okay, I've been following her since the beginning. Jennifer, girl, why'd you have on velvet in the middle of the summer? Beautiful suit. But why did you have on black velvet, girl, in the middle of the summer? I prefer that you don't wear black velvet in the middle of the summer. I didn't get that. Beautiful suit, though, but I just didn't get it. Black velvet. Hot, didn't. Oh, God knows. Not at all. Okay, in my travels, I did notice people talking about Vanessa Bell Armstrong. Listen. Y'all can stop it, okay? I don't give a goddamn what you say. If every note was off, nobody cares. Vanessa Bell Armstrong is gospel royalty. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care nothing about what she looked like. Oh, they talked about her wig, and they talked about her missing. Who cares? She was there. Again, another one, you need to know the story. Vanessa Bell Armstrong almost wasn't even here. Vanessa Bell Armstrong went through some real bad medical trouble back in the early 2000s. Vanessa Bell Armstrong didn't even think she was even going to be here. And the fact that she still can get up there and still carry the way that she carries, and she sounds just fine to me. I wouldn't give a goddamn. I love Vanessa Bell Armstrong. Whenever the Scorpion show was actually talking about this whole thing before it even got started. And Mikhail and Kevin were talking, and Kevin didn't know who Vanessa Bell Armstrong was. And Mikhail was trying to explain to him. I immediately, when I was watching the video, I didn't even finish the video, I immediately went and found a live performance of Vanessa Bell Armstrong. Because Kevin, the Scorpion from YouTube, the Scorpion show, Kevin loves music. And I don't know how that one got past him, but baby, I needed to bring my baby up to speed. This is Vanessa Bell Armstrong, and this is why she was actually on the roster, baby. She's no joke. And then that just goes along with the fact that she actually looks exactly like one of my grandmother's aunts. My Aunt Lila. My Aunt Lila looked just like Vanessa Bell Armstrong to me. Always did. She has passed on. She was actually one of my favorite aunts. You know, I don't like a whole bunch of my family. I got a huge family. Don't like a whole lot of them. But I always loved my Aunt Lil. And I immediately took to Vanessa Bell Armstrong, just her look. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks just like Aunt Lil. And then when she opened her mouth, baby, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. I've never met her, but if I ever run up on her, baby, I'm just gonna run on up on her and hug her. She'll be like, "Who the hell is this damn fool, honey?" Vanessa Bell Armstrong is the real deal. I wouldn't give a shit if she missed 20 notes. So, and then Kevin has actually said, he sent me a message and he enjoyed every minute. It was like a 10 or 11 minute um, song choices she did, where she did a bunch of her hits live. Please, if you all don't know who Vanessa Bell Armstrong is, you've been missing out. Search her on YouTube. She is awesome. Awesome. You hear me? Go right up there with the ranks of the Shirley Caesars of the world and the Dottie Peoples of the world. Please. Awesome. Anyway, moving on. Okay. So, speaking of bad performances, Lord have mercy. Chaka Khan, girl, you need your ass whooped. You need your ass whooped. First of all, you got all of this satin garb. I looked at Chaka. Chaka came up out of there. She had this big old ugly red wig on. She got this fan. First thing I see when she flips her fan, I said, this heifer got the words taped to the fan. I said, no, Chaka, you're not going to go out like this. And I'm looking. She's singing Going Up Yonder. Who don't know the words to Going Up Yonder? Chaka, you need your ass whooped. Then she gets out there. She starts singing. I said, oh, Chaka. High as one of them fur coats that Aretha had. You hear me? I said, she got to be high. She is high. I looked at her. I was so embarrassed for her because I know she was too high to even be embarrassed. High as Cooter Brown, honey. And said, I said, Chaka. And she was a mess throughout the whole first part of the song until she got to where she could go into her upper register. And then she just screamed the rest of the way. I said, girl, really? Then went on off the stage and then gonna come back for a reprise. Bitch, this ain't no concert. This is not no Chaka Khan concert. I said, and that outfit, it just looked hot. Everything, and it was red. I said, you would be draped in red, girl, because you up here high as the devil. I said, oh my God. It was a mess. That was by far like the worst I have seen Chaka Khan. I said, girl, you got to stop this. I don't know what's going on with her, but somebody need to grab her, honey, and put the hands of prayer on her because Chaka's losing it. She losing her damn mind. Words on the fan. And then you ain't even, girl, I ain't gonna get you some red paper. Something. That was a mess. That was a mess. Or sing one of your own songs. If you can't, a mess. A mess, a mess, a mess. That was terrible. And that outfit was just horrible. And it looked so hot. She looked just like she wore one of the extra outfits for Dracula, honey. I said, that is really giving Dracula, honey. I ain't like it. Didn't like it at all. It was giving me very Bram Stoker's, honey. I didn't care for that. That was terrible. Oh, had it. Down to the funeral. Girl, please. Okay, and so my favorite thing of the whole situation was this. Yes, yes, yes. Cicely Tyson. See, because that right there is another living treasure. Is Cicely Tyson. She's 91 years old. Clean as the Board of Health. And that was another thing I was seeing the chatter going on about her hat. We always talk about Cicely's hats. Honey, the hat was fabulous. If you didn't understand the hat, then you just kind of don't understand. It's fashion, honey. It's fashion. And it's fashion, honey. Miss Cicely, please. People 5 rows back couldn't see. That is a hat, baby. Miss Cicely was so clean. She looked beautiful. 91 years old, dressed in solid black, one strand of beautiful pearls. Big old beautiful pearls, and you know they was real, child. Beautiful hat. You know that hat was custom, child, for playing. And she got up there and she spoke. And it's just one of them things. When Cicely Tyson speaks, people listen. You listen. You shut your mouth and you listen. It was Cicely did a monologue. It was a monologue. I don't know if it was actually specifically written for this or if it's actually from a show that she's done because she's done so many things. Okay? She's done so many things. But it was a monologue all about when Aretha sings, the things that actually transpire when Aretha sings. It was beautiful. It was beautifully written and it was absolutely delivered to perfection. And when I say took me out, by the time she stopped talking, baby, tears was everywhere, and I had to get up and walk away from the television. It was it was my favorite moment of this whole situation. And I was really shocked when I started hearing the chatter of people who didn't know what she was doing or what she was talking about. I'm like, are you kidding me? What's wrong with you all? It was she gave you some of the best spoken word. That's what it was. It was spoken word. It was acting. It was poetry. It was, honey, it was performance. There's more than just singing. There's people who actually can speak and get you. You know who else can do that? Oprah. Oprah can do that. She's, I think, about the youngest one that I know that can actually do it. And in that vein, I'm sure there's some other people who we haven't run into yet. Oh no, I take it back. Angela Bassett can do it too. Angela Bassett can speak and make you listen as well. She sure can. She sure can. But for now, Cicely Tyson. And before Maya passed away, Maya Angelou and Cicely Tyson, when they speak, just listen. You just listen. There's nothing you can do but shut your mouth and you listen. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Anyway, but that was my absolute favorite part of this whole situation. Yep. Okay, so that's pretty much it. There was a lot more perform. Oh, the Clark sisters. Clark sisters was cool. Karen was having a hard time. Because Karen wouldn't speak. When Dorinda talked, she said Karen won't speak, and then we got that Karen was Aretha loved Karen, so she probably has spent a lot of time with Aretha. She's taking it pretty hard, but she sang, and baby, and then they had, of course, Twinkie is usually not with the girls. Twinkie was over on the side, but baby, when Twinkie opened up her mouth, honey, everybody was like, "Twinkie's here!" that's what we always do with the Clark sisters. You be waiting, and Dorinda and Jackie and Karen will be carrying it, and then the next thing you know, baby, you hear something from the back or on the side. Like, Twinkie's here. So it was, yeah, they love the Clark sisters, honey. I get living legends, honey. Love them, love them, love them, love them. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and like I said, it was really Maxine Waters was there, and they definitely stopped and said some things to Maxine Waters, and of course there were lots of dignitaries, were there. Bill Clinton, and all of that. I'm sure you all have heard all of this and seen all of that, but these were the points that stuck out to me. It was 8 hours that really, it was like a full work day that went by literally with just ease. It just flew by. The time flew by. It was beautiful. It really was a beautiful, for what it was. It was something that was going to go down in history. So I actually felt as though I watched history being made. Um, last thing with this whole situation, I wouldn't be me if I did not say this. Okay, y'all know good and goddamn well that Aretha did not ask for Patti LaBelle to sing shit. for her goddamn funeral. And y'all need to stop that. Y'all need to stop pushing and pulling that story. And I saw where Patty did the whole tribute with the "You Are My Friend" and all of that, and it was what my favorite rendition that Patty has done. Um, wasn't really all that heartfelt. It was really, um, really just because it's what we're supposed to do, down to the church kind of thing going on. Didn't care for it, and I can't eat that story about Aretha's family member saying that Aretha says she wanted Patty to sing, and so Patty couldn't be there, so she gonna sit and vibe said like, well, there ain't nobody played it. I ain't seen it. I ain't seen it. I don't know what that was all about, but that needed to be left alone. That needed to be left alone. And even if it happened, Patty, you could have just said yourself you was gonna leave it alone because it just didn't feel right. It just felt wrong. It just felt wrong. It felt made up. It felt like somebody's ass is lying, and I don't know who, but at some point it's gonna come out, y'all. But I don't believe that Reefa one that child. Y'all know Reefa was messy. Messy. Child, that's some of her best month. We loved the mess when she would do little mean stuff. Child, she was that girl. She was able to do little mean stuff and get away with it, honey. It was what it was. She wasn't always nice. You don't stay around, be as important as she was, and don't ever hurt anybody's feelings. It just don't happen. She would hurt folks' feelings, honey. And there was folks, everybody wasn't crazy about Reefa, but you had to respect her, honey. Respect, honey. Find out what it means to me, honey. That's Rita, honey. Do whatever the fuck she want, honey. Now, how about that? But I noticed she didn't want for Patty to sing at her funeral. Now, how about that? And on that, thank you guys for watching. Child, y'all know I'm going to end up with some mess, honey. It is what it is. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Later. Hey guys, before I let you go, I want you to go and subscribe to my other channel, which is Spillitboy TV. There's more programming that's going to be coming, more things that I'm going to be dropping that are actually going to be over on that side, and you don't want to miss out. So go over to Spillitboy TV, get yourself subscribed, click the notifications bell so you'll know whenever I drop something over on that side, and you will get it. You don't want to be missing out, y'all. Catch y'all later.